Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm Richard and this is Lap of the World. If you've been following Lap of the World After Dark over on Twitch, those live streams over there, you'll know that we just finished up the kind of Gilligan's Island version of an oil change on our 2004 Gallardo back here. But we thought the reason that took so long would be worth a video on its own because we feel it's a problem that some other people could run into, either on these cars or other cars that have aluminum oil pans or aluminum sump assemblies like this car. We managed to strip some threads out, but we managed to fix it, or get around the problem I should say, with kind of an easy button that may be apparent on further investigation and could help you guys get out of a pickle like this without having to resort to expensive disassembly or machine shop services. So that's what we're doing today. Let's get started. Our predicament started innocently enough with a basic oil change, but it all went south when we got to the point of reinstalling the drain plug.
Oh no. Please click. Please click. Please click. It's not clicking. So sad.
So what you just watched and the disappointment that you just heard was related to the threads stripping out of the aluminum sump pan with less than 15 foot-pounds of torque applied. I had kind of seen this coming because when the car came to me, the first oil change I did on it, removing that particular plug was not the easiest thing to do. And then when I put the plug back in, I did torque it down to spec, which per the manual, I think, or some suggestion that I saw or found because the manual is useless, was around 25 foot-pounds. Here was that in an earlier video where you can hear the wrench click, or the tank, as we do this. Again, you only want, as with the O-ring, you only want one crush washer per drain plug, meaning that it torqued all the way down like it was supposed to, but taking it out again this time was also difficult. I had hoped to milk this for another couple of oil changes before having to really deal with it, but it wasn't something that was completely unforeseen and was likely not due to anything that any issue that I started at least. However, now that they were stripped, we had to deal with it, and this is what we did. Now, before we get all the way into today's video, I did want to mention that if you are not following us over on Twitch, we would love your support over there as well. And we would love for you to come and hang out with both Liz and I right now on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. As I mentioned earlier, this is kind of Lap of the World After Dark, which is kind of why we're doing it on Twitch versus YouTube, these streams. It's for the separation of ad suitability, I guess you could say. If you enjoy watching our videos with young children, maybe don't bring them to the streams, but if you aren't afraid of a little innuendo and the ability for me to swear in my own garage, then Liz and I would love to have you come and hang out. Right now we're doing this Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Stop on by, say hi. The damage we experienced was very similar to what's pictured here. You can somewhat make out the division between good and bad threads in this capture from our stream. In the case of the Gallardo using the stock drain plug, the plug only uses the first 10 millimeters of thread or so with the crush washer in play. The total length of available thread is between 18 and 20 millimeters though, so even if you fully pull the threads out with a stock plug, you should still have something left to play with behind that. So once we realized that there were good threads behind the bad, the next logical thing that we did was get on the internet and try and see if we could find a longer drain plug. It's about a 18 to 20 millimeters of thread that you have to work with in there, all told. I don't know why they didn't use all of them to begin with, other than just maybe those front half being kind of sacrificial, understanding that this could happen. But looking for an 18 to 20 millimeter long M16 by 1.5 thread drain plug, you don't find anything. It doesn't exist. However, if you remove those drain plug keywords, you can find appropriate fasteners. I found this on Misumi USA Incorporated site. They're out of Illinois. And this is an M16 by 1.5 thread, 20 millimeter long hex cap bolt. And it does have a wide enough flange here to crush a crush washer. So I got a few of these to kind of play with because there's one other operation that we needed to do before we just threw it back in there, considering that we have damaged threads in the system. To give us the best chance at success, we procured an M16 by 1.5 thread chase, which has a fractionally smaller diameter than a full-on thread tap. We then spent a couple of hours slowly chasing the transition between the damaged threads and the undamaged threads before following through to the full depth of the hole. We then spent another hour or so using some grease, dental tools, and small appendages to clear out any shavings or other aluminum particulate left from the thread chasing process. Then, it was on to the rest of the plan. I took the soon-to-be drain plug over to the vise, protected the threads with a nut, and then drilled a small hole through the head, about 3/32 of an inch or about 2.4 millimeters in diameter. This hole is to facilitate safety wiring the drain plug, considering we're going to be installing this with just enough torque, and we don't want it making any bids for freedom on account of thermal expansion or vibration. After threading the bolt and crush washer in and torquing to 15 foot-pounds, we then threaded our wire through our hole and proceeded to put some twists in it. This is not the prettiest safety wire job, but I don't have the fancy pliers here, so bear with me. The key point is that you want to have the wire in tension on the bolt such that it cannot rotate counterclockwise, lefty-loosey and all that. In our case, we used an otherwise orphaned threaded bolt hole and an otherwise orphaned 10mm bolt to anchor the safety wire against clockwise rotation of the drain bolt. Yes, this will add an additional step to subsequent oil changes, but it's a small price to pay for the added security and, in this case, the ability to solve a potentially $1,000 problem for about $25 between the tap, bolt, and safety wire. And so we now have a secured and safety wired drain plug on our Gallardo, ready for our next track event. Once we finish fixing everything else that's wrong with it, if you want to know more on that story, again, join us over on Twitch. You'll find out. We'll probably have a video about it later on. But if you want to follow it real time, that's where you can find us. I hope you found the video today, at least, informative, if not entertaining. And hopefully it will help you out of a pickle, either with your Gallardo or another aluminum sumped car that has had some improper rituals performed on its oil or transmission drain threads. Anyhow, that's where we're going to leave it for today. Having solved one of yet another multitude of problems that we're running into, I probably should go and get the feeling sometimes that I need to just have like the garage exercised, maybe have it like blessed or something. I don't know. I may just go across the board. If any of you out there, spiritual or religious, want to come and bless my garage, I'm open about anything at this point to get things to calm down a little bit. But that's what we're going to call it for today. Thanks for watching. Again, I'm Richard. This is Lap the World. We'll see you all in the next video, if not the track.